Romania, the largest Southeast European country in the European Union, home to the real Transylvania and Dracula. But is it any good to start your business there? Let's talk about it now! Hi, I'm Oliver and welcome back to the channel Ask Me Startup, where we talk about startups, small businesses and the world that surrounds them. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and pushing the notification bell so YouTube lets you know whenever I'm uploading new content. If you're into business, if you plan to start a business, if you have a small business, please feel free to download my free startup checklist, link in the description below. Today's topic, Romania. Is it a good place to start your business? Alright, so as always, we take a look on the facts about the country first. Romania being a Southeast European country, being part of the European Union with its capital Bucharest. The country has roughly the size of the United Kingdom, only with 19 million inhabitants. And these 19 million inhabitants do GDP PPP per capita, so that's purchasing power parity, of roughly $32,000 US. So that already tells you that they must be doing much better than their northern neighbor Bulgaria, which is just doing around 24,000. How come so? Still, you have to be aware that Romania is considered a poverty house in Europe. And we do see a lot of migration from skilled workers and labor force to other countries within Europe. They earn their money there, send it back to Romania to have a decent, proper retirement in the country and build up houses and businesses in Romania itself. So if we want to start a business in Romania, we would like to understand first how entrepreneurial are the Romanians. Why? Because in one way or the other, that defines the legal and governmental framework, the available skill sets of workers, and the possibilities to start businesses. And if we look at the numbers, we can say that Romania is not the most entrepreneurial country on the planet. Still, they're doing better, and maybe that is out of a need, than other countries. That also implies that they have a proper legal and governmental framework. If we look at the details here, we can say, yes, they have a legal framework that is accepted by the European nations. Otherwise, they would have not been part of the European Union. However, transparency and the governmental practices lack big time. Transparency International ranks Romania on rank 69 out of 180 countries they're measuring. The worst country in Europe I've covered so far. It is true, you will see a lot of corruption, you will see a lot of illegal activities going on in the country. However, the young generation is trying to overcome these, and there have been some reforms and there have been some upvotes for people that are actually fighting corruption actively, but I think the country still has a long way to go. Also, you need to be aware that Romania used to be part of the Soviet Union, and hence a lot of the bureaucratic approaches are very similar to the former times, meaning it can be cumbersome to get what you want. But they're also trying to improve here because they are aware that they can just not have that brain drain out of the country and then not being able to develop and serve their own inhabitants that way they're currently doing it. So if we look at Romania, are there any well-known brands that you should be aware of that could give us an indication, yes, it is possible to grow a business to a world brand from Romania? And the only company I've come across was Dacia. Now, that might not be familiar with everyone out there in the world. If you're in Europe, for sure you've heard of Dacia Sanderos. These are cars. Dacia actually is building low-cost cars, and they're quite popular in Europe. But here's the caveat. They've just grown to that importance of the brand after being purchased by a French manufacturer, Renault. They use Dacia as their low-budget versions and has then since pushed that with all their marketing capabilities throughout the European markets, and now they're quite popular here. So is that a good indication? At least we know that Romania is very good and very popular for manufacturing in Europe. Why? Because wages are cheap, cost of living is cheap, And they have access to the oceans, meaning you can ship stuff there, which is, of course, one of the most efficient ways to transport goods around the planet. Then how is the startup ecosystem? So the startup ecosystem is developing. It is improving, and we're seeing larger rounds every year in Romania. Nonetheless, I would say compared to countries like the UK or Ireland, France, Estonia, they're still far behind, but they're catching up. Because it's the same way for every startup. You have a limited amount of resources where you're going to spend it, most likely where you get the best value for your buck. And for many, the cheap labor in Romania is just a too good to be true catch for it being within European nations. So then you might ask, okay, I might be interested to start a business in Romania, but is there a startup visa for me to start? That is for all of you who are non-EU citizens. And I have to tell you right now, there isn't. I tried to look up the data very clearly and very heavily, and there is no website or governmental website that actually clearly indicates a startup visa. They have, however, something called a digital nomad visa. And that is supposedly the best digital nomad visa in Europe. Why? Because it only requires you to have a contract of 1,100 euros a month to be eligible for the visa. They want to attract taxpayers for sure, and they know that they need to be more attractive than the other European countries that are offering this specific visa. So while doing the research for this video, I was going deep into some Reddit groups because I wanted to understand how attractive is Romania for digital nomads. And it turns out that it is very attractive in two terms. A, they have really, really fast internet, which is good because every digital nomad needs that. B, you can make a decent living on 1,500 euros a month. Hence, it is achievable for many people. On the contrary, on the con side, we have the issue that, of course, we have problems with crime. We do see a lot of pollution. We do see a lot of scammers everywhere. And bureaucracy still isn't up to the challenge of today. So is Romania a good place to start your business then? From my perspective, yes it is for two specific industries. One, digital, two, manufacturing. Let's start with manufacturing. We know today it's very difficult to get things from China to Europe to US to wherever because all of the supply chains are clogged up in one way or other and they're busted. That is attractive for Romania because it has short distances to travel and it's part of the European Union, so you don't have customs, etc., which actually allows you to have access to the largest European market. For digital companies, I think it's really interesting because you have those very highly skilled laborers, those skilled people that are living in Bucharest and in other cities in the country, and they are actually enabling you to start off, and they don't have that high requirements of salary you would have to pay, let's say, for instance, in Zurich, in Switzerland, which is, I would say, a factor 10 for the salary, right? All right, everybody. I hope this short video was helpful to you. If you plan to start a business or if you started a business in Romania, just drop a comment down below. Let us know how your experiences. I really enjoyed you watching this content. I thank you very much for this. If you've made it so far, please subscribe and smash the like button because it really helps this channel to grow. Thank you very much, and I'm gonna see you next time.